This is the condition. Okay. So good morning, everyone. We will begin our session with chanting in universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings release from all suffering. May they not be good from good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their actions, and inherits its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts will be the heirs. So we continue reading Bowing in Journals from 3 Steps 1 Bow, Pilgrimage, done by Reverend Schur, Marty Verhoeven. Today's entry from Dharma Henk Chow is April 13, 1978. The title is By Practicing Great Giving. Lushiga?
No translation.
Okay. So the subtitle is The Joy of Giving. May it's part of growing up, maybe it's a part of the bowing. May some of both, but today I saw that I am selfish. Although I've been greatly given to by my parents, teachers, and friends, I arrogantly assume that I deserve it, or the world owed me this favor. It wasn't until I encountered a good and wise advisor that I saw my stinginess. It stood out in contrast to his selfless giving. A good advisor gives away his very life, all of his good roots and virtue, to bring living beings to their highest potential, Buddhahood. He gives for the joy of giving and never linger for a thank you. It is said, just as a one lamp can disperse the darkness of the 1,000 years, one thought of wisdom can destroy the 10,000 years of people's delusions. I'm deeply ashamed of my past ways, but to wallow in shame and guilt is not the Buddha's teaching. Quickly changing toward the good is, light the lamp, don't course the darkness. And the next quote from Sixth Patriarch Sutra. Don't think of the past, it's gone and can never be recovered. Instead, think always of the future, and every thought perfect and clear, see your own original nature. Bodhisattva has no self. Everything they do is to benefit others. They correct their stinginess by practicing great giving, not by casting themselves. A true disciples of the Buddha would never fight with or punish any living creature, not even himself. And the quote from Vatamsaka Sutra, True and Transference Chapter, toward all living beings he attains undestructible faith. Therefore, with kind eyes he regards them all equally, and he transfers his good roots for their benefit. He accords with, cultivates and studies with the Buddhas do, what the Buddhas do. He gathers in and holds all pure good roots and enters the true, real meaning. Amazing blessing and virtuous conduct. He practices great giving. So Marty, it's a little bit relate to our theme this month. At the city, it's 10,000 Buddhas. We have 10,000 Buddhas repentance. And Marty recognized his past faults, his arrogance and so forth, that he honestly here share. And he mentioned that he's ashamed of the past ways, but wallow in the shame and guilt is not the Buddha's teaching. It's interesting, and last Friday, after the lecture, we have a kind of Q&A with Marty, and I asked him the question in this theme. I said, and kind of bringing my kind of condition, that it happens sometimes, but it was much more strongly in the past when I practicing the practice of repentance very easily. The practice of purifying, clarifying the heart and mind become the kind of type of fault finding, kind of criticizing, finding all the bad sides ourselves and identifying with that. And it doesn't bring any relief, rather than, the kind of constant guilt and I can say even self-hatred in the kind of extreme situations. And Marty kind of looked at me, this is not a Buddha's teaching. This is a wrong view. So, it seems like that. And he says that if we are continuing doing that, finding the catalog of wrongs, whatever I did is always wrong, so wrong, we can say to ourselves, and kind of punishing and reciting all the times no good mantra, right? I am no good, I am no good, I am no good. It is not a Buddha's teaching. It is not a practice of repentance and renewal. I think we can think that this is an act of sincerity. I'm deeply ashamed, and kind of dwelling in this shame. But I think maybe it is sincere, but it's a sincere torture. Don't do it. It is not wholesome. It not bring the wholesome results in the end. Dwelling in negativity, kind of going down in this kind of black hole is not the Buddha's intent. It created a strong doubt in ourselves. And this is his point, what Marty says, the first wrong view, thirsty, is the believing in the self. right? In the Pali is Sakaya Diti, or Sanskrit Sankaya Dristi, that believing in this fixed identity, believing in the identifying with the content of our minds, of our body, of the five aggregates, five skandhas, right? And how the teaching saying, the Sakaya Diti, this view of identification follows, this is mine, I am this is myself. And so it's not just kind of intellectual composition, intellectual kind of speculation, but has a very deep emotional, psychological effect in ourselves. Marty give an analogy is like a dye on the cloth, color our experience. And it's so by kind of wallowing on this negativity, we're reinforcing the sense of self, the kind of opposite sense of self. Sometimes we think the being selfish is the be narcissistic, right? Fall in love in ourselves. That we can also, isn't fall in love in hatred, but we can dwell in this kind of negativity, and this is as well practicing of the view of self. And next point, what Marty gave, what was kind of could be surprising, that the cultivating this kind of constant shame, self-doubt, is a lack of faith. And the lack of faith of this doubt is another catalog as affliction. And the Buddha, especially in the Yogacara school, described the faith, not only Yogacara, in general, described the faith in the three elements. Is the faith in the teacher, the Buddha or embodiment of the teaching, faith in the methods, on the dharmas, different strategies which leads to freedom from suffering, and the third and very important one, or even the most important one, is the deep trust, deep confidence in ourselves that we are capable, we have full capacity to realize the freedom from suffering, right? We can become a Buddha when we follow all the strategies, dharmas, given by him. So Marty says the function of the faith is kind of inspire us, to move us, to bring kind of relief. It has a kind of therapeutic effect. It's not putting our down, not dwelling negativity, in the shadow, in the dark. So it is not of the Buddha's teaching again. It's something opposite. As well, like Yogacara school defined that the faith in the three elements is the reality that we have a Buddha nature, we have this pure essential nature, virtue of the Dharma, Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, and ability. There's this third component, that we are able to realize, reconnect, restore the essential nature. And the practice of renewal and repentance is returning to this purity. Moment by moment, thought by thoughts. And of course, it's not easy to overcome this tendency of kind of attacking ourselves, dwelling in negativity. Because it's the Buddha's, the teaching categorize these tendencies as a kind of sanskaric tendencies. It's one of the fourth skandha, right? Sanskara, or which is defined as a kind of inner psychological disposition, like a forming, like a deep habitual tendency, which are behind our actions. So it's not easy to detect them, but it's important to notify them, and it's almost necessary to remove them or transform them. Which, in this case, we're speaking about this dwelling in the guilt or the negativity, or kind of punishing ourselves, could be a very strong disposition, which deeply color anything what we do, and we looking for the word in ourselves, especially with this kind of unwholesome filter. So on this upgoing, I think the time is past. This is a very rich and large topic. Maybe we can look at it in different ways later together. But in this upcoming session, I deeply encourage to cultivate the repentance. And this is the moment, this impulse, when we're noticing that with our past actions, maybe we're unskillful, maybe we not uphold the standards, but immediately after recognition, after the feeling this bitterness, is this aspect of renewal. We make a strong decision or even vow to not repeating those tendencies again. And this is a kind of a moment of liberation, moment of relief. And the Marty points was that this practice need to produce this, the kind of light, deep let go, kind of feeling completeness, aliveness. So I'm stop here because we have now practiced 3 steps, 1 bow. Maybe so for today, everyone can deeply look at in our practice of repentance and renewal, and also look at deeply in this our deep tendencies. So if you found it that they are going into negativity of our practice, bowing or meditation, anything what we do, creating this kind of heaviness and negativity, is very good to kind of review and kind of recenter ourselves to move to the place when we are relief and kind of have even a glimpse of being free from pain or suffering. Okay.